the calls. The first is all agent ringing, and a very simple method of being able to distribute the calls to the agents. All the agents are going to ring simultaneously. Call comes into the queue, rings all the agents. First agent that answers a call, obviously they'll be connected to that caller. All right. Probably, you probably don't want to do all agent ringing. There's some logistics there. You probably don't want to ring it, all agents beyond maybe 15 phones or something like that. I see that more like 10 phones would be common. Some logistical things to consider there. But so you have all agent ringing. The second one is round robin, probably more common, or the most common method, where the call comes in and it's going to ring the first agent. And if they answer the call, the next call comes in, it'll ring the second agent. If that agent doesn't answer the call, it'll advance to the third agent, the fourth agent, and so forth. So it's just going to continue right around until it gets to the bottom, and it'll start back up at the top again. So that's probably the most common method. Longest idle, and this is going to be, call is going to be presented to the agent that's been sitting there idle the longest. So they haven't, you've got an agent just sitting there and just waiting to receive calls, and they've been idle longer than anybody else. They're going to get the next call. The next one's kind of interesting, and it's the least busy during the last hour. So it's based on talk time. So let's say you have the agents and they've been taking calls all morning. Well, you've got the one agent they've received a lot of calls, but they've all been short duration calls. Maybe they've only been like 2-minute phone calls. And so their actual total talk time is going to be minimal, as compared to maybe a couple other agents where they've been on the phone and the calls were long, extended calls, 10 minutes each or something. So it's based on the talk time over the last hour. So the agent that's had the least amount of talk time, they're going to get the next phone call. Next one is just random hunting. You'll just randomly choose which agent is going to be receiving the next call. And then there's a skills-based routing, where you're going to configure an auto attendant, and the auto attendant's going to have some options in it. Okay, it'll be, for example, it'll be, press 1 for English, 2 for Spanish, 3 for French or something. So, and then after they choose that, then it'll ask them in their, maybe in Spanish, it'll prompt them for, 1 for sales, 2 for support. So it'll present all these prompts to the caller, and all the while it's doing that, it's going to put together a composite of the caller and the type of skills that the agent that's needed to answer that call. And then what will happen is at the end, the caller will be connected to the queue that has those agents in it that will best meet those skills. Okay, so you'd have to assign skills to the agents, and then it'll know which queue to put that caller in. Okay, so the one that we're going to do is all agents ringing this morning. Calls waiting in queue. This is how many calls you're going to allow to sit in the queue waiting to be answered. Okay, 20 would obviously be a lot. So maybe you got 10 callers you're going to allow in your queue. The 11th caller would be redirected. There was a redirect down here. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Okay. There's a wait time in the queue. This is how long you're going to allow the caller to wait to be answered before you give up and say, that we need to redirect that caller someplace else. And this is in seconds. So maybe if you set it to 600, that would be 10 minutes. So you let the caller sit in there for 10 minutes. After that, you want to redirect them someplace else. All right, then there's an agent ring timeout. These prompts here are all specific to the agent. So you got agent ring timeout 8 seconds. That'd be, let's say, maybe a couple rings or so. Maybe 15 seconds. You're going to present the call to an agent, and this is particularly important when you're doing the round robin. So you're going to try to ring this agent. You'll ring them for 15 seconds. If they don't answer that call, then you're going to advance the caller to the next agent. Okay, and if the agent doesn't answer the call, you've got an option down here. You got a checkbox where you can set that agent into some sort of like an away status, so that they're not available to receive any more calls. I mean, it happens, and it's not unusual. Agents, they just get up and walk away from their desk, and their phone is ringing, and there's incoming calls there, and so this takes care of that. So this will basically put them in like a busy state, and they're not going to receive any additional calls till they come back and put themselves back online. All right, and then there's a wrap-up timer. So let's say 30 seconds. This is after the agent finishes the call. There's a wrap-up time of, say, 30 seconds where the system will wait before it presents another call to that agent. So they have time to finish up their paperwork or whatever it might be, and to get that taken care of before they receive another call. So there's a redirect. So if the call has been sitting in there for the 10 minutes, at that point you can redirect that call. You'll probably use in this case, the PBX call type, and maybe redirect that call to some other extension, maybe say 101 or something. You can also let them press 0 and let the caller press 0 and be redirected. This will specify where they're going to redirect to. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll save that for now. All right, then you've got the your prompts. So maybe we're going to, this is what the caller is going to hear once they enter the initial queue. I do have a couple of WAV files available here. So this is the welcome message. And you can record it directly, a message directly from your phone, from your extension. You just press record from extension, and it will ring your phone, and you can record it, the prompt that they're going to hear. And the play count is how many times you're going to play this message. And after a period of time, it'll wait, say, 10 seconds before it plays the next message. So you can have multiple messages played to the caller at different intervals that they're waiting in the queue. And this is important because you're sitting there on hold, and you've been there. You've heard the messages, and you hear these intermittent. Obviously you hear the message repeated X amount of times, and obviously you get tired of it. But so you want to give the caller some hope that their call is going to get answered. All right, so let's bring up another file. Let's see, this is the greeting. And we'll play this one a couple times. Maybe we'll play it 3 times. And then want to enable these custom prompts. We're going to play background music. So in between playing these greetings, we can play some background music to the caller, so they probably won't get as tired of waiting for their call to be answered. All right, so that's so we've configured the basic ACD queue. I want to go ahead and I want to go back. I want to add another queue here. Maybe create a second queue. We'll call it supports, and this will be extension 601. And we'll just go with the settings. I'm not going to change this. All right, click back on your ACD tab. So now you can see we've got 2 queues that are created. It has the extension number 600, 601, percentage of memory. If you're uploading a lot of WAV files, you may need to increase that memory size so it has enough memory for it. So now we need to create some agents. So we'll click on the Agents tab, just click Add, we'll give it a agent, we'll call it Andy, and we'll set him online for the initial state. We'll make him an ACD admin for the queue. The second option here is to receive multiple calls. So a lot of agents are good at multitasking, and they're asked to do that. They can receive a call, and if they get a second one, they can put the first call on hold and maybe take the second call, answer the call briefly, and then go back to the first call. So they're able to receive multiple calls. So that's what that option is for. The web authentication, this is going to be for the EAC application, so you can log in. All right, we'll give it Andy as well with password. All right, phone authentication. So if you do have a cell phone, there is a method of being able to call in and put yourself online so you can receive calls. So we'll just give it the extension, in this case 101 or 100. All right, then so when you do log in, this connection, this is basically where the calls will be routed to. This is your phone extension. So I'm going to be using actually extension 100. And then you've got a couple of wrap-up timers down here. This is for receiving direct inbound calls, where somebody called your extension directly. It didn't come through the queue. It actually came directly to your phone. And the second one is where you placed an outbound call, maybe directly to a customer. And in both these cases, there's a wrap-up time if you want to enable that for those particular calls. All right, so we've got the first agent created. We're going to create a second one here real quick. We'll use Mario. I think he did our ACD presentation here the other day for the sales people. And we'll just give it Mario. And we'll make this 101. Is it 101 or 103? I think I'm using 103 on this. All right, we'll save those. So I've created a couple agents. You can see some of the information going across. And now that I've created those agents, I need to assign those to the queues. So we'll go back, click on the queues. You can configure your agents first if you want. I just happen to configure the queue first. It really doesn't matter which order you do it in. So now that I'm looking at the sales queue, extension 600, I click on the tab on the left that says ACD agents, and now I'm going to specify which agents are going to be added to this particular queue. And if in this case, if that agent is going to be a supervisor in the queue. All right, so I've added the first one. Let's add a second one. We'll add Mario. Okay, so you can see that there is a wrap-up time of 30 seconds, which comes from the queue settings. It's enabled to receive calls, and you get one supervisor. All right, now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add extension 601. Let's go ahead and put the agents in that queue as well. And in this queue, Andy will not be a supervisor.